Well, good evening. I trust you've had a wonderful Monday, this 24th day of February 2025, the last Monday of the month of February. You're just in time for the daily report. Tonight on Power and Politics, we look at something very interesting. Now, the ministry, or rather the State Department for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, has launched a new product, which is the Bridge Loan, in line with the Hustler Fund. Did you know what that is? We shall be having that conversation tonight in the Daily Report with my guest, who will be none other than the Principal Secretary in the State Department, the Honorable Susan Mangeni. We'll be talking about the Hustler Fund. Have you taken any? Have there been any measures that have been taken on those who have defaulted? We'll also be looking at what the fund has done so far. And also remember, the Controller of Budget has flagged this fund. So all this and much more will be encompassed tonight as we also inform you on other stories making headlines tonight. Catherine Similoy is on sign language interpretation. I am George Maringa. That, she said, is my sign language. But here are the highlights. Tonight, President Ruto welcomes BAMBA back after AUC defeat.
I am very proud that Raila Odinga put forth a formidable, serious candidature across the African continent.
Raila to announce the next move amidst calls for the return of the post of a Prime Minister. Also tonight, who is the dirty one?
We've reaching out to KPLC that we have a round table over this issue. They've refused bluntly to even just acknowledge the letters and the claims.
City Hall dumps garbage at the KPLC gate over power disconnection. Nairobi County-KPLC clash. Plus, no bodies have been found in Todonyang despite reports that 20 fishermen were killed over the weekend.
Mambo ya kutafuta wale ambao wamepotea, wao ambao wajapatikana, nimepatia orders Regional Commissioner wetu hapa wakiongozwa na County Commissioner.
CS Murkomen toward the area today. And Deputy President Kithure Kindiki now accuses his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua of defending CJ Koome using the ethnic card. We welcome our viewers watching on terrestrial platforms as well as on our website and on YouTube and across the social media platforms. You can find us at TV47 News KE, or you can find me at George Maringa _. My guest's handle will be at Hon Susan Mangeni. Please use the hashtag Daily Report. Start with your name, where you're watching us from, followed by a question, comment, or feedback regarding the program tonight, and we'll be happy to be able to forward your questions to the PS tonight. But let's get the show on the road, shall we? Panic and tension is still running high in Todonyang, Turkana County, following the Saturday night attack on Kenyan fishermen on Lake Turkana. Tonight, the number of those killed still remains unconfirmed, with residents irked that no bodies have been retrieved yet. Saturday's attack prompted Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen to visit the area to assess the security situation. Sheila Chelangat opens our broadcast tonight with that report.
A somber mood and tension engulfs Todonyang, a small village on the border between Kenya and Ethiopia in Turkana County. Saturday's attacks on Kenyan fishermen on Lake Turkana has left many here shaken. Government says the total number of those killed still remains unconfirmed. However, according to locals, the number of those killed could be more than 30. This incident prompting Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen to visit the area to assess the situation.
Na kwa Turkana County, ninaanza kusema poleni sana kwa kupoteza watu wetu. kwa wale ambao wote wamepotea kwa ile janga ilitokea Jumamosi.
Security personnel in the area say they managed to recover 15 boats that had been stolen by the suspected bandits. Residents, however, are still irked that till now bodies are yet to be recovered.
Mambo ya kutafuta wale ambao wamepotea, wao ambao wajapatikana, nimepatia orders regional commissioner wetu hapa wakiongozwa na county commissioner, wataenda kuingia pale kuongea na ile serikali ya upande ule mpaka tukubaliane watu wetu ambao wamepotea wapatikane.
Of concern to Todonyang locals is the slow response from government in tackling such security threats, saying similar incidents have occurred before.
Here in Todonyang we don't have KDF. When you are talking about Somalia and Kenya, there we have KDF. You are talking about the police. What is the role of police? To maintain law and order. So they are maintaining law and order here. But we need those people who have been supposed to act accordingly to the law.
Government, however, says it is in collaboration with the government of Ethiopia in verifying reports of the incident to bring the perpetrators to justice. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila, for that. Tonight, police have discovered the body of British businessman Campbell Scott, who went missing in Nairobi's Westlands area. Makueni County Police Commander Alice Kimeli has confirmed that the body found in Makongo Forest over the weekend was his. Police have arrested a taxi driver and a waiter in connection to the murder of the 58-year-old businessman. Take a look.
Makueni County Police Commander Alice Kimeli has confirmed that the body found in Makongo Forest over the weekend was of that of Campbell Scott. The body was discovered in Wote, Makueni County, Monday morning. Police were trying to establish whether it belongs to 58-year-old Campbell Scott, who went missing in Nairobi last week. According to the police, the senior director at the London branch of FICO, an American data analytic company specializing in credit evaluation, came to Nairobi for a 3-day conference before he went missing. Scott left his hotel in Westlands in Nairobi and was last seen heading out of the hotel. The Director of Criminal Investigations has been working with the help of Interpol in tracing him. Police received information about the unidentified body found in Wote, dispatching investigators on Monday morning to determine whether it was Scott. Police are still trying to investigate the reason behind the disappearance. Scott worked at one of the world's leading firms in credit scoring, operating in 21 countries across South America, Europe, Oceania, Asia and Africa, overseeing product management. The autopsy to be done on Tuesday. For TV47, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Thank you, Willie Dennis Njiru, for that report. 6 suspects linked to the murder of activist Richard Otieno, alias Molo president, will be detained for 10 more days. 3 more were arrested on Sunday and will be detained at Kaptembo Police Station or any other station for 10 days pending investigations. This is after the prosecution sought more time to finalize the matter, as Chichi Josephine now details.
A total of 9 suspects linked to the murder of Molo activist Richard Otieno, alias Molo president, appeared before Senior Principal Magistrate Kipkirui Kibelion at the Nakuru Law Courts on Monday, including 4 others who were arrested on Sunday. In an application filed by the prosecution, arguing on the basis of the complexity nature of the case, the prosecution sought for more time to finalize the investigation, an application allowed by the magistrate granting 10 more days.
So, Your Honor, today we are seeking for a further 21 days to have the suspects still detained for reasons that investigations are yet to be completed in this matter.
However, in his ruling, Senior Principal Magistrate Kipkirui Kibelion allowed the applications on orders that investigations will go on and suspects detained for 10 days.
That the investigation is granted leave to continue detaining the respondents herein for a maximum period of 10 days from today.
The 10 days will comprise both working days and weekends, and that if no charges will be found against 2 suspects among the 9, they will be set to liberty by 5 p.m. Thursday, 2025.
That the stipulated 10 days detention period shall comprise both working days and weekends.
Emma Okok, the prosecution counsel, revealed that they have recorded statements from crucial witnesses and others yet to be traced as they are on the run for fear of their lives.
This process is yet to be completed as there are other witnesses who are yet to be traced and interviewed. Some of them ran away in fear of their lives.
The prosecution also revealed that they are yet to receive the DNA results from the government chemist as well as the analysis of the 7 phones and the CCTV footage recovered by investigators, together with arresting 5 more suspects.
Also yet to receive the report from the government chemist laboratory. The analysis of over 7 mobile phones that were recovered from the respondents is still ongoing.
The court directed that the police should complete their investigations within the time and charge the suspects, failure to which they should release them by Thursday, 6th, 2025 at 5 p.m.
The 1st to 6th respondents herein shall be set to liberty if no formal charge is preferred against them by 5 p.m. of Thursday, the 6th of March 2025.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47, Nakoro.
Thank you, Chichi. The county government of Nairobi dumped garbage at the offices of the national power distributor Kenya Power over a debt standoff. While Kenya Power plunged county offices in total darkness for 6 days last week, city county officials dumped garbage at the electricity distributor's main offices and clamped down their vehicles. The Nairobi County executive now says the garbage will remain there until KPLC clears charges of up to 4.8 billion Kenya shillings. As Kenya Power says, they owe them nothing at all. Hibak Said with the details.
The standoff between the Nairobi County bosses and the main power distributor led to these scenes on Monday morning.
Kenya Power, viva! Viva! Kenya Power, viva! Viva! Down with impunity, down!
A heap of garbage representing the unsettled issues between the two that has been made public, attracting the attention of innocent bystanders.
It's lack of responsibility on their end, and we're just telling them, be a responsible and responsive leadership. That's what we require so that this stalemate can be brought to a close.
In a statement released by Kenya Power, the distributor affirmed that 3 garbage trucks blocked the entrances of Steamer Plaza and vehicles belonging to the company and customers were clamped. They say the county government has hit below the belt when they went as far as disconnecting their water supply and blocking their sewage.
So on Friday evening, we did restore the supply based on the commitment that they gave us on Friday. And we thought that everything was fine. However, we noted a disconnection of water supplies, both in our Steamer Plaza place and in Electricity House in CBD. And then there has been blockage of sewage in those 2 locations as well as another location outside in Roysambu.
As the unbearable stench permeates still into the power distributor's offices, the city-county executive beat her chest over the comeback, promising there's more where that came from.
We've reaching out to KPLC that we have a roundtable over this issue. They've refused bluntly to even just acknowledge the letters and the claims. That is not a person you can dialogue with.
And why did the county decide to air their dirty linen to the public?
This issue of trying to paint the county as if we are being unreasonable and unfair is just changing public perception, but that is not the reality. The reality is the law allows the county to collect money on way leaves, and we have been collecting, but suddenly they have decided they do not want to pay. But I think the fear of Kenya Power is if we pay Nairobi, maybe other counties will also come and claim. But that is something that they should be willing to deal with, not to refuse. We have obligations to settle as well.
The standstill continues, with the county government saying they are owed 4.8 billion shillings, and KPLC vows to stop at nothing but to reclaim the 3 billion shillings owed to them.
If you go low, we go even lower, says the Nairobi County to the Kenya Power and Lighting Company as the tiff continues between the two bodies. And now the county government says that if their lights go out, the garbage will remain. Hibak Said for TV47 Nairobi.
Thank you, Hibak, of light and garbage. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga was welcomed back to the country by President Dr. William Ruto in Mombasa after the loss at the African Union Commission race. While Odinga says he will announce his next move, there are calls by a section of MPs to have Odinga handed the position of a Prime Minister. And as Joash Ansare now reports, Odinga has denied reports that his campaign at the AUC spent taxpayers 13 billion Kenya shillings.
The return of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to Nairobi after losing the AUC bid is set to change the political landscape. Speaking in Mombasa Monday, Raila said in the coming days he will announce the political roadmap, a move expected to have casualties.
If we win in Addis, we will have succeeded. But if we don't win, if we lose, we will not have succeeded. Why? Because we will have other jobs to do. We'll come back home and do other things.
In what is now seen as a reward to keep Raila closer to the ruling coalition, he is said to be working towards making numerous changes at the National Assembly leadership just days after the changes at the Senate. Among the changes, ODM is pushing to have MP Samuel Atandi replace Kiharu Member of Parliament as the Budget and Appropriation Committee Chair, while Peter Kaluma is pushing to replace Kuria Kimani at the Finance Committee.
It is again a proud moment for us to receive you back home and to engage with you as we drive the development of our country, as we engage in the nation-building exercise.
Raila says Ruto stood with him in the AUC race even though he lost to Djibouti. The former premier further faulting those who have questioned the amount of money spent in the campaign days after Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi was arrested over the query on the expenditure.
I've seen billions being said, quoted. Somebody's talking about 13 billion shillings spent on the Raila campaign. I don't know which world those guys live on, whether they know what a billion means. A billion shillings to do what?
This comes when a section of lawmakers led by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei are pushing for the creation of the position of a Prime Minister to accommodate Raila Odinga in the implementation of the NADCO report.
Stood by me.
During his introduction, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki also introduced Raila as the Prime Minister, addressing the country from State House Mombasa ahead of President William Ruto.
I want to invite the Prime Minister to make a few comments, and after he finishes, he can invite you to make your comments, Your Excellency. Welcome, Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
The National Dialogue Committee, NADCO, released a report at the end of 2023 proposing the establishment of the offices of Prime Minister and Leader of the Official Opposition, among other recommendations.
People in embassies across Africa.
Amending the constitution to create such offices requires approval by Kenyans through a referendum. 255 Section 1 of the Constitution of Kenya states that a proposed amendment to this constitution shall be approved by a referendum if the amendment relates to any of the following matters: the supremacy of this constitution, the territory of Kenya, the sovereignty of the people, the national values and principles of governance, the Bill of Rights, the term of office of the president, the independence of the judiciary and the commission and the independent offices, the function of parliament, and the objects, principles and structure of devolved government. Joash Onsare, TV47.
Thank you, Joash. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, says it is ready to resume voter registration and sensitization in its preparation for the 2027 general election. According to the Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Marijan, the continuous voter registration can only resume once new commissioners take office. Moige William reports.
The country's electoral body says it is ready to resume its full functioning once new commissioners are appointed to office. According to the Electoral Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Marjan, a blueprint is ready, only that it is waiting for a nod by the commissioners.
It's happening in the Commission, in the areas of voter registration, in the areas of voter education, in the areas of the election itself, the election day during the voting period. Of course, not forgetting the issue of reforms that IEBC has proposed.
Marjan revealed that once the commissioners take office, a top priority by the commission will be kick-starting the continuous voter registration, which was halted when the commission was left with no commissioners.
We have many youth outside there who need to take their IDs so that they are ready when the platform is open for them to come and register.
This development ensued after a meeting held between the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and the Kenya Young Parliamentarian Association in Nairobi at the Commission's headquarters.
This has come because of a lot of engagement that we have had with the young people on their worries on matters to do with continuous voter registration and the preparedness when it comes to onboarding the young people in the electoral process.
In late January this year, a 9-member panel led by its chairperson Nelson Makanda, tasked with selecting new Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission commissioners, commenced its work. Already, a total of 1,848 Kenyans have applied for the position of chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Moige William, TV47.
Now, the Judicial Service Commission was set to reconvene tomorrow, Tuesday, to discuss the petitions filed against the Chief Justice and the judges of the Supreme Court. However, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Molo and Justice Mohammed Ibrahim are the latest to get court orders to stop their ouster. And as Mike Kagwongo now reports, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has told off his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua over threats that he would lead protests if CJ Koome is ousted.
Deputy Chief Justice and Justices Isaac Lenaola, Mohammed Ibrahim and William Ouko have already secured orders stopping their ouster, ahead of the Judicial Service Commission sitting Tuesday to discuss their ouster. Chief Justice Martha Koome and Justice Njoki Ntongo had secured similar orders last week. The commission is set to reconvene on Tuesday under the leadership of Vice Chairperson Isaac Ruto to discuss the petitions. The Judicial Service Commission had issued a press release on January 16th, alerting the public of receipt of petition against the 7 Supreme Court judges, a move the judges have faulted. The ouster has already elicited a heated political debate in the Mount Kenya region after former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua threatened to lead protests if CJ Koome is ousted.
Huyu mama akifukuzwa, nipige filimbi mutoke kwa barabara, mutatoka hamutatoka.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki is, however, not taking the statement by Gachagua lightly, saying that the removal of a judge from office is purely a constitutional matter and not a political or ethnic issue. Kindiki says the accusers and defenders of judges must use constitutional and legal arguments to state their positions, rather than trivializing such a weighty legal matter by bringing ethnicity into the equation. The Deputy President, who took to his social media platform, says that the Chief Justice and the Supreme Court judges will be defended not because of their ethnicity, but because the attempt to bring down an entire Supreme Court for its decisions undermines the independence of judges, threatens the rule of law, and fatally injures the underwriter of Kenya's democracy.
What has happened to the leadership of Meru? Ya kwamba munaketi na Rais William Ruto akipanga kutumaliza kama jamii, akiumiza viongozi wetu, anapigana na mama rais, ulipigana na mimi Rigathi Gachagua, mimi ni mwanaume, wachana na Martha Koome ni mwanamke.
However, the Judiciary Service Commission has been prevented from acting on any of the petitions to remove the 7 bioconservatory orders issued by the High Courts in Nairobi and Narok. In his lawsuit against JSC, Koome called on the Commission's recent decision to consider requests to remove the Supreme Court judges, a disgrace to the legal system. The latest event coincides with the increased tension in the judiciary, after former LSK President Nelson Havi filed a petition to remove Supreme Court judges from office for alleged gross misconduct and misbehavior. The 2010 Kenyan Constitution's Article 172 assigns the Judicial Service Commission the responsibility of advancing and enabling the independence and accountability of the judiciary, as well as the effective, efficient, and transparent administration of justice. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike. Now, 2 petitions have been filed seeking the country's most powerful judges, Chief Justice Martha Koome and judges of the Supreme Court of Kenya. Now, this is the first time that petitioners are seeking the removal of the entire bench of the Supreme Court of Kenya. Former Law Society of Kenya, LSK President Nelson Havi, on January 13th, filed a petition to the Judicial Service Commission, GSC, calling for the removal of all 7 Supreme Court judges. On January 16th, JSC acknowledged receipt of Havi's petition, saying, and I quote, "The JSC acknowledges receipt of a petition dated January 10th filed by Nelson Havi against the following judges of the Supreme Court of Kenya," and goes ahead to outline the judges who are affected. This statement read in part: the Judicial Service Commission starts hearing the petitions tomorrow, and the JSC, the Chief Justice, who is the chairperson of JSC, will not be sitting in the proceedings against her. Let's now look at the charges facing the 7 judges. Nelson Havi's petition alleges that the judges are accused of alleged gross misconduct. The second petitioner are 13 advocates of Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi Advocates LLP, who allege gross misconduct by banning them from appearing before the Supreme Court of Kenya. Now, how is the process of removing a CJ and Supreme Court judges? Article 168 of the Constitution states that a judge of a superior court may be removed from office on the grounds of 1, inability to perform the functions of office arising from mental or physical incapacity, a breach of a code of conduct prescribed for judges of the superior courts by an act of parliament, bankruptcy, incompetence, or gross misconduct or misbehavior. Now, the removal of a judge may be initiated only by the Judicial Service Commission acting on its own motion and or on the petition of any person to the Judicial Service Commission. A petition by a person to the Judicial Service Commission under Clause 2 shall be in writing, setting out the alleged facts constituting the grounds for the judge's removal. The Judicial Service Commission shall consider the petition, and if it is satisfied that the petition discloses a ground for removal under Clause 1, send the petition to the President. Now, the President shall, within 14 days after receiving the petition, suspend the judge from office and, acting in accordance with the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission, in the case of the Chief Justice, appoint a tribunal consisting of 1, the Speaker of the National Assembly as chairperson, 3 Superior Court judges from common law jurisdictions, 1 advocate of 15 years standing, and 2 other persons with experience in public affairs, or, in the case of a judge other than the Chief Justice, appoint a tribunal consisting of a chairperson and 3 other members from among persons who hold or have held office as a judge of a superior court, or who have qualified or are qualified to be appointed as such, but who in either case have not been members of the Judicial Service Commission at any time within the immediately preceding 3 years, 1 advocate of 15 years standing, and 2 other persons with experience in public affairs. You're watching the Daily Report right here on TV47. We are due for a first short break right here on the Daily Report, but when we come back, we have got more news. And remember our conversation tonight, the Hustler Fund, the hits and the misses. Our guest is already here in studio, the Honorable Susan Mangeni, the PS for MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises. Go ahead and channel your questions, comments or feedback regarding the program. We'll be back shortly.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor.
Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Welcome back. You're watching The Daily Report with me, George Maringa. Catherine Simaloy is on sign language interpretation tonight. And just to remind you tonight, the Hustler Fan, the hits and the misses. PS Susan Mangeni is already here in studio. Keep your questions coming. That conversation will be coming your way shortly. And just to acknowledge some feedback here, Magona Digital Media saying you're watching, Joram Masinda as well. Now, but loud and clear, nikiwa Kitale Matisi Corner. Thank you so much. Keep your feedback coming even on YouTube as well. Now, a section of human rights on Monday took to the streets calling for the release of Uganda's opposition figure, Dr. Kizza Besigye, who is facing treason charges back in his country. The group of activists further presented a petition to Parliament demanding specific measures being undertaken to end abductions and renditions in the country.
Monday, the country's capital, Nairobi, was turned into a pressure point to secure the release of Uganda's opposition leader, Kizza Besigye, from detention in Uganda. A group of activists staged protest in the streets of Nairobi and later presented a petition to Parliament.
The transfer of Kizza Besigye and Haj Obeid Lutale to civilian courts is a continuation of a process begun through abduction and rendition, which are unlawful under international law.
The human rights activists issued fresh demands in their petition questioning legislators on the measures they have taken to put an end to abductions and retentions.
Abductions and rendition of Kizza Besigye and Haj Obeid Lutale in Nairobi, Kenya adds to the growing and worrying trend of transnational repression in Kenya, where foreign critics from countries including Ethiopia, South Sudan, Tanzania, Turkey, and Uganda have been abducted in Kenya.
The petition was received by lawmakers Hassan Yusuf of Kamukunji and Dan Manzo, the senator from Makueni, who warned that the autocratic tendencies practiced by East African governments must be halted immediately.
Of what has happened to Dr. Besigye, violation of his human rights, democratic rights, is of a special concern to us, particularly those of us who have been fighting for a very long time for a democratic, free Africa and East Africa.
We are aware, other than the Kizza Besigye's case, Kenyans have been abducted here locally, they have died, and they have never been seen. Some of the abducted Kenyans, recently we were doing a court case, and when we went to the city morgue, where two had been identified as found dead, there are over 600 bodies there not yet identified and who have come there after the demonstrations by Gen Zs.
Appearing before court, Besigye was charged with treason alongside his political associate, Haj Obeid Lutale. The opposition figure has been in detention since his arrest in Kenya in November last year. Mwege William, TV47.
Thank you, Moige. Former IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati's family has confirmed that he will be laid to rest on the 8th of March 2025 at his Kitale home in Trans Nzoia County. According to the family's spokesperson, Eric Wafula Nyongesa, Chebukati suffered from a brain tumor, and following the doctor's report, he died from a cardiac arrest on Thursday evening, but the family is still waiting for the post-mortem results to determine the cause of death. Chebukati died while receiving treatment at a Nairobi hospital.
He was in hospital from mid-December up to early January this year. When he was discharged, he came back home as the families considered whether to explore possibilities, and as they consulted widely with the doctors and experts, whether it was necessary to undergo a third operation or what other advice would be there in terms of managing that condition. So he went back to hospital on the 12th of February for bi-monthly routine checkup so that the doctors could assess the situation and advise him. When he went back to hospital on the 12th of February, the doctors were of the view that he needed to be admitted. He had some problems with his chest. So he was admitted on 12th. He was in hospital. On the 15th of February, he was taken to the ICU. He was in the ICU from the 15th to the 20th of February, when the family received a call after midnight indicating that the late Wafula Chebukati had suffered a cardiac arrest. And for purpose of keeping good records for posterity, his grandchildren and anybody else, the family is still considering a postmortem.
Now, 17 mountain bongos that were taken away during the struggle for independence have been welcomed back into the country. This is a third generation of the endangered species taken away in the 1960s. The rare animals, brought from Florida in the USA, arrived in the country at about Sunday night and have been taken to Meru, where they will be quarantined first as they are slowly reintegrated into the Kenyan ecosystem.
The rare animals brought from Florida, USA, arrived in the country at about 9:10 p.m. Sunday night and have been taken to Meru County, where they will be quarantined first as they are slowly reintegrated into the Kenyan ecosystem. According to wildlife experts, the mountain bongos are originally Kenyan, and their existence elsewhere in the world is a testament that they were taken away from here.
This moment, by all means, marks a significant milestone in our collective efforts to conserve and even restore one of the world's most endangered species.
The 17 in number, once integrated into the ecosystem, are expected to breed and produce a different breed and probably save them from extinction, considering the country has less than 100 mountain bongos. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano says the plan is to see the members grow to more than 700 by 2050.
Today's repatriation is a critical step towards realizing this vision.
This repatriation comes after years of cross-nation talks that have seen several multilateral negotiations signed. The first repatriation was in 2004, when another batch of mountain bongos were flown into the country. Kenya Wildlife Services Director General Dr. Erastus Kanga noted Kenya is expecting another batch of the mountain bongos from Europe in the next 3 months as the country gears to increase its numbers and enhance tourism. He says that the operation is key in enhancing the country's conservation efforts and creating an environment that cements Kenya's place as a winner in tourism across the region.
Their lack means that you are going to have an ecological gap. So when we bring them back, we are doing what you call restoration. It's not only the recovery of the bongos, but we are restoring the habitats where they are.
The initiative not only enhances our leadership in wildlife preservation, but also aims to revive the critically endangered species, boosting their population and creating jobs while improving community livelihoods.
We are bringing back the biodiversity or the species that are critically endangered that had been taken out. The number two, we are looking at creating jobs to the local community members that are going to be employed in that conservancy.
It has been rare to spot these animals for mountain lovers, but as numbers increase, they would be spotted. Joash Onsare, TV47.
Thank you, Josh. The State Department of Gender and Affirmative Action met stakeholders in a forum on strengthening prevention and response to gender-based violence in Kenya through the innovations and achievements made from the Kenya-Finland bilateral program. Anastasia Mukabi with more details.
In a bid to end all forms of gender-based violence and female genital mutilation by 2026, the State Department of Gender held a forum on strengthening interventions to end GBV via a bilateral program that made tremendous change in the 3 years in 3 counties of Bungoma, Samburu and Kilifi. Although the program has come to an end, the Gender PS Anne Wangombe assured that the government will continue funding it.
We are going to ensure that the gains that have been made so far are not going to be lost. We are going to put some funds into this program. We are going to work together with even other development partners to ensure that we continue with this good work.
The anti-FGM board commended this program as it has helped recruit more champions at community level to eradicate the depraved cultural practices.
Kenya bilateral program, we've been able to bring on board more champions to champion against the cause.
Being a beginning of a new era to girls in communities with depraved cultural practices, gender officers from the 3 counties urged the government to incorporate other counties in this program.
From the national level where you sit, how we can bring down to the county governments that these 3 counties that have started the program, how do we ensure that they become flagship programs that other counties can learn from?
Commending the program, the Finland ambassador Pirkka Tapiola pointed out that the government should act swiftly to end femicide cases in the country.
After the very sad developments on the 10th of December during a femicide demonstration here, it is important that the femicide is really tackled at government level and that the voices of those wanting to stop it are heard.
With the insights gained from this forum, the State Department of Gender aims to decrease drastically the gender-based violence cases statistics in the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey 2025. Anastasia Mukabi, TV47, Nairobi.
Let's make sense of the sense. And Kenya is expanding fuel exports to Rwanda and other East African countries if a strategic deal to utilize new infrastructure goes through. The Kenya Pipeline Company has commissioned a second fuel pump station in Ngema, Nakuru County to ease the expected influx of clients. Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi says the government has invested 1.3 billion shillings for the new pump, which will enhance the efficiency of the pipeline company. The country is also keen on making Kisumu a regional petroleum hub that will service countries in the Eastern and Central African region.
Kenya Pipeline Company is thinking strategically because as it enhances the flow rate capacity in its pipeline, it's also thinking of expanding the storage infrastructure downstream, if I may call it so. Yes, in Nakuru, Kisumu, and Eldoret. That way, we are therefore able to meet the demand of our customers for these products consistently and sustainably.
This year, last 12 months only, Waziri,
we've actually been able to pay 10.5 billion shillings in terms of dividend. And I'd like to encourage our colleagues, National Oil, GDC, that number one position has been taken by Joe Sang and the team. There is only number two going backwards.
Now, financial firms have turned towards community outreach in the January slump, focusing on training and education for community engagement. NCBA General Managing Director John Gashora has affirmed the need for corporates to assimilate in the education system to bridge the gap that exists between training curriculums and industry needs.
What we do is we work with a number of organizations such as the Chokse Foundation, EduMed Trust, and quite a few others. And what they do is that they support identified students, and those students become the NCBA students, supported students, and a number of them were actually here today. So it's a proud moment for us to see how many we have inspired. A proud moment for us. A number of beneficiaries spoke to us today who have gone through this program, some working for KQ and others in various other businesses.
You're watching the Daily Report. I did tell you that tonight we have the PS for MSME, that is the Honorable Susan Mangeni. Thank you so much for joining us, and Happy New Year. I hope it's not late.
Happy New Year too.
Since the last time you were here, we are again keeping track on one of the flagship projects of this Kenya Kwanza government. And I've seen a comment here by Patricia Kombo. She says, amazing work from the Hustler PS. Looking forward to the interview. Amos Okwara, and actually I'll start with that question. Amos Okwara says, ask PS SMEs about removal from CRB as promised by this administration. Why was it abandoned? Was it abandoned?
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you signed up on Hustler Fund. The last time I was here, we agreed. You are going to sign up so that you keep tracking the progress. I wish Amos could explain whether he's in CRB now. It will really help us to respond to his concern. However, let me begin by talking about the key milestone. I saw you talked about the hits and misses.
The hits and misses.
And I said you will discuss the misses, I will discuss the hits.
Okay.
I think let's share that.
All right.
So, but in terms of what we consider as hits, number one, the fund has been able to deepen financial inclusion at the bottom of the economic pyramid. We have so far disbursed close to 65 billion Kenyan shillings. That's our loan portfolio has grown up to that amount as of today to 25.3 million Kenyans. That's so big, and these are 18 years and above. 18 years, so these are adults. So I think the fund is really serving close to 3/4 of the adult population in Kenya. And we've realized close to 3.7 billion, the kind of in savings that has been mopped up. Remember also the purpose of the fund was to promote a culture of saving, especially among the people who are in the informal sector, who are not really, kind of employed. Because if you are employed, there's a way through which you save. Then what else have we done? For the last, I would say, 2 years of experience since the launch, almost 2, and we're almost moving to 2.5 years since the launch. We have been able to establish the credit profiles of all those 25.3 million Kenyans. They now have a credit history. You can now find data about them and be able to assess them fairly in terms of their creditworthiness. Because initially, most of these people could not be served in the mainstream financial sector due to lack of any data footprint about them. So when the mainstream, the commercial banks and the MFIs wants to serve them, they don't know. So if they don't know so much about you, if they cannot track your credit history, what do? The cost of credit becomes high. So then that's at the point when they ask you to provide a collateral or security or some sort of a guarantor. But you know, when you are at the bottom of the economic pyramid, you find that most of, even your social capital comes down. Nobody can even say, I can give you this title deed to gain borrow money. Nobody even trusts you. It's like you really condemned to, you know, to kind of, to that level. So the banks will look at you as a high risk. So they deal with you very cautiously. So this is what we've tried to kind of work on and address, to see how do we then establish credit profiles, give opportunities for all Kenyans to start building their credit history. So when they walk to the bank or they walk to any financial institution, their history is somewhere. There is data footprints in as far as the credit behavior is concerned, and then they can now be assessed fairly and accorded, you know, affordable credit. So the initiative of Hustler Fund has been, you know, the purpose is try to mobilize as many Kenyans as possible and enable them to participate in the money economy, if you like it, where everybody is served and served better and is served in a very affordable manner.
Okay. Talking about now the misses, there was the issue of the Auditor General who flagged 106 billion as money that could not be traced, untraceable money on the platform. 106
billion?
Yes.
106 billion?
Yes, that's what we got even from our business desk in terms of the figures.
I think, really?
Yeah.
106 billion, how? From where?
From where? Okay, so about the control of budget, I mean, Auditor General's report that has, you know, of course, had issues with, as it does with the figures of this country. Is every coin accountable?
So let me say, yeah, absolutely every coin is accounted for. And in this, if it's not in circulation, then it's with Kenyans. So it's accountable for. But so far, let me put this into perspective. We have accessed from Exchequer about 14 billion, out of which from the Exchequer, I mean the capitalization of this fund that we have received from Exchequer has been 14 billion since the launch of this fund, of which 13 billion has been disbursed, is what is in circulation, is what is revolving. And if someone say that the fund is not doing well, I wonder how we'll be able to grow within that short period of time. This loan portfolio up to 65 billion as where we are today. So I don't think it was 106 billion because we are yet to even to hit there. It is, so far we have received 14 billion. 13.5 billion is what we have disbursed, is what is in circulation even as we speak now. And yes, we can account for each and every coin because, like I've said, we have data of all our beneficiary, everybody who has borrowed. We have data because your unique identifier is your ID. And the good thing what we did in this country, that then we integrated your ID with your mobile number. So of course, and we can be able to tell you where everybody is in terms of even the geographical location, because you remember it's mobile. So mobile can cite you where you are. So I will say every coin is accounted for. So if it's not in circulation, then it's yet to be repaid, but we know where it is.
Yeah, there is the issue of, you know, the last financial year that the, you know, budget, the Exchequer cut out more than 90% of funding to the platform. How were you able to cope that in the last financial year?
Yeah, but so Hustler Fund, as any other revolving fund, is not anticipated that you keep on recapitalizing you know, to the same level.
Yes.
I mean, and the fact that we've been able to achieve this level of disbursement or in terms of growing a loan portfolio in itself shows that we are sustainable. And I think it would have been of worry then to the public if at all each and every financial year we expect to receive the same funding as what we received during the initial capitalization. That then it means that this fund is not working. But where we are right now, we're okay in terms of liquidity, because I think for the last couple of months, you know, for the last 1 year, you will agree with me, you've not heard anybody say there is no money, there is no what, because they are borrowing. And we're able to sustain the liquidity of it, so we're able to balance. And also we introduced during the second anniversary that took place on 9th of December 2024, we introduced another product we call Bridge, which is now graduating the good borrowers, those beneficiaries that have demonstrated good credit scores, to the higher loan limits. So if you give me time, I'll be talking about what this bridge means. But the other thing that we've done, all these 25.3 million Kenyans, including yourself, and you can check it today, they are all rated. So we introduced, from the experience which you've had for the last 2 years of the personal loan of Hustler Fund, we've been able to kind of assess, you know, we have experienced behaviors, borrowing behaviors, and now we have assessed and we have rated them. So all those 25 million Kenyans, they are rated with a score ranging from A to C. So it's a 9-band score, or rather behavioral rating system. So we have A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. Of course, with A, meaning A and B being, you know, A excellent, B good, and of course C as you get to C3, meaning very poor. Now this rating is now your identity. It's like a learning experience where at the end of the time you do an exam. So then you are able to know who do we advance to the next level. So at this point now in time, what we have, we can kind of cite the credit profiles of each and every beneficiary, and then come up also with targeted measures or targeted recovery measures, because you cannot also come up with a blanket incentive. For example, majority of people who are rating either C2 or C3, these are people who borrowed either once or twice at the initial period of the fund, you know, during the first and second month, and probably disappeared. So you see now, if you have that rate of C3, we already know you borrowed once, twice, and you ran away. So if you have those kind of people, in other words, what you are telling people, and where we are moving to a space where we want to institutionalize this, because we also want to encourage good behaviors. So we will not blacklist you, but you'll blacklist yourself. Because then, if you cannot be trusted with 500 shilling, why should you be trusted with maybe 5,000 or even more? So you'll blacklist yourself. So we want people to gain that consciousness, so that then they start to protect and to safeguard their credit rating. Because the credit rating going forward, we want it also to become like a soft collateral that will enable you access credit, even in the mainstream financing market, without necessarily being required, you know, giving you either title deed, or, you know, those conventional collaterals, the title deed, the logbooks, and maybe bringing on board maybe someone who can guarantee you, which most of the time you may not find, even if it's your parent who can give you a title deed and say go and borrow. So we really want Kenyans to become conscious of this, because this Hustler Fund credit scoring, it demonstrates that you have really braved off the so-called moral hazard that most of the time is attached to the government. You know, there's this thing, oh, this is it's GOK, so there is a very high moral hazard. But if you can get beneficiaries, like now the ones who are scoring A's, either A's or B's, who now totals to about 6 million Kenyans. I mean, these are good people that we can now encourage the bank. You can deal with them because they have shown they're serious people. They have shown very high credit standing, and these are people that you can move to the next level and even now start engaging with them.
Absolutely. PS, hold that thought for now. We'll be taking a short break. A lot to unpack about that new product, what more is happening in the Hustler Fund, and of course in the MSME sector, to be able to see and talk about that and much more. PS is staying here with me tonight for that extended conversation after this short commercial break. Amos, please clarify about your removal from CRB. PS asked you a question. Please go ahead and clarify as well. I can see your feedback on YouTube. You'll be able to field all your questions to the Honorable PS right here on the Daily Report. But please do stay with us. We are back shortly.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako. Chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybet. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia, pesa inavutia.
Welcome back. Let's get sporty. The conversation with the PS will be resuming shortly. Please keep your questions and feedback coming as well. Now, to sports news. Harambee Starlets are on their way to Tunis ahead of Wednesday's return leg Women African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Tunisia at Stade Olympique de Sousse Stadium. The Beldine Odemba-led side must settle for nothing less than a win after Tunisia packed a point in first leg played in Nairobi. A win for them will mark a date with the winner between Niger and Guinea. Kenya national under-17 girls team Junior Starlets have continued to intensify their training ahead of their FIFA under-17 Women's World Cup qualifiers against Uganda. The first leg is set to be played on March 8th, 2025 in Uganda. The team is looking up to book a batch appearance at the World after their maiden appearance in the Dominican Republic, where they registered a 1 win in 3 group matches. As part of their preparations, the team played a build-up match earlier today against Kibera Soccer Women at Kasarani Annex, where they emerged 1-0 winners.
Inafaa tujipush more cause tuko na target, tulikuwa last World Cup, pia inabidi tena tuko na target ya kurudi huko, so inamaanisha tunafaa kuwa extra hard juu 51 million Kenyans wanatutarajia turudi tena World Cup, na inamaanisha tufai kulet country yetu down, so we have a big effort kupeana.
Kienda away lazima turudi na 3 points, ikishindikana tunarudi na 1 point. Sisi venye tuko hivi tumejitayarisha, spirit yetu ni World Cup tu. Poa, but pia ni tricky cause nafaa tujipange, si ati tutaenda tu ni timu yenye tutapiga rahisi juu ni East Africa, si rahisi, so we must be prepared well, na for the preparation yetu tuko nayo, we are going to make it.
Preparations for the World Rally Championship are on top gear when manpower will meet the house power in Naivasha. Our sports reporter Duncan Mutua has been keeping an eye on how drivers are getting ready to grace this event and has prepared the following report.
Naivasha, Nakuru County from 20th to 23rd March 2025. The horsepower will meet the manpower. With just 24 days remaining for the World Rally Championship to take place in Kenya's Nakuru County, drivers are getting ready. KCB Racing Team driver Nikhil Sachani and his navigator Deep Patel have intensified their preparation for the third leg of the World Rally Championship Safari Rally.
So we were just here out to feel the car, do some suspension settings, and just to get an overall gauge of what needs to be done just in preps for the safari.
The test today is the only test we're going to do before the rally. So now from tomorrow the car will be stripped down. Now it's more of us getting prepared mentally and physically for the WRC.
Over the weekend, the duo put their car to the test in Athi River as they fine-tuned their machine ahead of the global competition, which is expected to draw top rally crew from around the world.
There's a lot of stages that have changed this year, but I always enjoy the Soisambu stage and Sleeping Warrior. Those two are nice stages.
Nikhil Sachania the only paraplegic driver in the World Rally Championship calendar, recently acquired a Ford Fiesta Rally 3 and will be racing it at the event, having previously driven a Mitsubishi Evo X.
With the Evo, it was more of, you know, I need a very long straight to get to our top speed, and that takes quite a time. Whereas this, you know, you're always on the power, and the car is it just wants to go. So it's a very different drive from the Evo. So yeah, we hope to be a bit more competitive this year.
The power is absolutely intense compared to the Evo. We have things like anti-lag in this particular car, where you're coming in and out of a corner, the turbo is already spooled up, and we have a sequential transmission in here. So Nikhil is able just to click forward or back, right, to change gears, which made a whole world of difference compared to the Evo, where it was just a standard automatic transmission in that.
Several international drivers are expected to participate, including WRC reigning champion Diori Novo, Hoytenak, and Andrew Formax, among others. This championship will be the third stop of the WRC calendar, following the Monte Carlo Rally and Sweden events. Duncan Mutua, TV47 Sports.
Now, Korohocho-based St. John's Junior School and Kibera's Olympic Junior School are the new champions of the M-Pesa Junior NBA Nairobi edition. In a tightly contested 5-on-5 boys final, St. John's Junior School edged out Olympic JSS 16-13 at the Sabis International School Basketball Arena. St. John's Byron Onyango set the tone early with a smooth two-pointer before Olympics Anthony Onyango responded, keeping the score tight at 9-7 by halftime. Olympic fought hard to mount a comeback in the second half, but St. John's held their ground, sealing the game 7-6 to claim the championship. In the girls' contest, Olympic Junior School delivered a dominant performance, cruising past St. John's JSS 25-3 in a one-sided affair.
Ilikuwa tough, but marules zilikuwa strict na maref hawakuwa neta kila kitu. Sasa ilibidi tucheze strong na tujiaminie.
Has been the start of really what we believe is a groundbreaking program. Well, it is a groundbreaking program that is now focused on giving young Kenyans at the junior school level, under 16, opportunity to play structured, organized basketball at a much earlier age and receiving a lot of top instruction and guidance through the development of their coaches. And so it's the first of 4 stops, 4 regions, where we've started with a coaching clinic. We started here with the regional tournament. We're going to do 3 other regional tournaments, one in Kisumu, Eldoret, and Mombasa.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako. Chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybets. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia,
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with the Daily Report. We are still here with PS Susan Mangeni, PS4 MSME here in the State Department of MSMEs in the Republic of Kenya. Catherine Simaloi is still on sign language interpretation. PS, still on Amos, he asked, even as we talk about the credit repair mechanisms, he said, was the government bank guarantee removed for SME and micro small enterprises removed?
Was
the government bank guarantee removed for SME and micro small enterprises removed?
Well, I really don't understand.
Okay.
The question.
Amos, please, if you could.
Amos, wherever you are, I wish you could expound more.
But then let's focus the bigger question.
Let me focus on the first question which he asked about the credit repair, whether we were able to repair the credits of many Kenyans. Let me say this, at the time of the launch of Hustler Fund, we had close to 8 million Kenyans who had been blacklisted by credit reference bureaus. Now, there is a Japanese saying on the same, it says, once discredited, always discredited. Now, what probably Kenyans may not know, and especially the people at the bottom of the economic pyramid, is that when it comes to blacklisting, once you've been blacklisted, you are likely to remain in that default status even for more than 5 years. You will remain there for a period not less than 5 years, even after you have repaid. So you can imagine, we had about 8 million Kenyans, and I'm assuming that majority of them were young people.
Yes.
Probably they're about 18 years of age, or between 18 years to 35 years. You remain in that default status, you know, for that period of time. It means you cannot borrow more, and you cannot even borrow affordably. So that's what it means. Every time when you go to the banks, and nowadays the bank have introduced risk-based financing, which is on individual basis. So they look at you and assess you on individual. So the kind of interest which they are going to charge you is based on your own individual assessment.
Yes.
Individual. It's not like a blanket interest rate. So you can imagine, when they go back to their history, they find you are still in default status, regardless of whether you had repaid your loan. So we realized that many Kenyans then were being condemned to economic death, if I can use that word. You are condemned. You can't borrow, and therefore you cannot participate effectively in the economy. So the Hustler Fund initiative was to disrupt that. And His Excellency the President, what he did, among the very first thing that the President did after taking office, was to have a meeting. And this was during the first week after taking office. He had a meeting with all relevant parties, all concerned parties, and these were the banks, especially those who are in the digital financing space. And most of our banks actually are in that space, and also the telcos, because those are the infrastructure. And then he reasoned, he reached out and reasoned with them and said, look, we cannot, there's no way we can rebuild our economy if that significant number of the people is outside there. They cannot be productive. And yet, you know, these are people aged 18 years and above who are in their productive age, if I could put it. And so they're outside there. They cannot participate effectively, because if you cannot access credit, there's no business which you can do.
True.
Then you remember also around that time, we are just also smarting from the corona pandemic and many other shocks, including the droughts, including the high inflation, the geopolitical, you know, issues that are happening, Ukraine, Russia. All these issues do affect the micro, the MSMEs, and especially the population at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Some people think they're just global issues, but they do have an impact to anytime you disrupt the supply chain, then you also disrupting the environment of doing business, and we start feeling it. So again, those people, probably majority of them, it will not have been by their own, you know, willing to be in the CRB, could be maybe situational. So as a government, our work is to facilitate our population to rebuild their capacity so that they can be served better. So then the Hustler Fund also brought in the credit repair opportunity. And this is why we made it universal. Remember, during the initial period, that some people even tried to go to court to say, you should just have given this facility to only hustlers. Then I was asking myself, so who is a hustler in the definition? You know, because, and we made it so much universal, Anybody who could just access *254 hash. We even zero rated. I mean, you don't need any airtime, even if you are on Okoa. And regardless of the telco that you have subscribed in, you can still access Hustler Fund, is zero rated, *254 hash, you signed up. What we needed is to establish first of all, the credit history of Kenyans, make them become more visible, so that then the mainstream financing sector, the banks, can serve them well and can serve them adequately. So as per his question, whether this is being achieved, yes, I can say this is being achieved. And today, as we speak on Hustler Fund platform, especially on the personal loan product, we have a repeat customer base of 8.8 million Kenyans. Now, of course, you cannot be a repeat customer if you are not in good credit standing. And like I've said, when now we applied our Hustler Fund behavioral rating system, we have close to 6 million people who are rating in A's and B. The beauty with this is that all this work, we are doing it jointly with the private sector, because we are leveraging on the infrastructure of the banks, commercial banks. We're also leveraging on the infrastructures of the telcos. So the experience that we are achieving in this process is an experience that even the private sector, especially the financing institution, are getting aligned to. So when it comes now to graduation and reintegrating our beneficiaries who we think are good borrowers back to their balance sheet, I mean the banks, the commercial banks, it will not be, they will not be strangers. There will be people that they have seen through, you know, nurturing their credit rating, and therefore the level of acceptability of serving these people is likely to be very high. Very high. So have we achieved that? Yes, we have achieved.
Okay. I see Zainabu, please keep your questions coming as well. I see Kevin Otieno. I also see who here, Jashon. I will be reading your questions shortly to the PS. Also on the other social media platforms as well. Please ask all the questions you may have about this. PS, before you get to the questions, there is this new product, the bridge loan. Let's talk more about it. It came in as quite an exciting product. What exactly was it supposed to do, and the bridge?
So the bridge, of course, as from the bridge, what we know about the bridge. So the personal loan, so Hustler Fund was designed to have a number of products. The first product was the personal loan, whose also main purpose was to provide, if you like, a credit card. So it created a platform where Kenyans can now demonstrate their credit behavior, you know, they demonstrate, I mean, and acquire their credit history, you see? Because even having that opportunity for you to showcase your credit, your good credit behavior in the mainstream financing sector, you know, it's near to impossible. I mean, especially if you're coming from the bottom of the economic pyramid. So we created a platform, and the personal loan, where we have so far served 25 or opted in 25.3 million Kenyans. This is like a credit card. This is the credit card that the government of Kenya gave to its population. And like any credit card, like people who have credit card, yourself and myself and anybody who is in that formal space, your limit, you're given a certain limit, and if you prove that your credit worthy, I mean, your limit keeps on doing what? Growing. So this is the credit card we give to these people. You can borrow in a very decent manner without nobody knowing what you're borrowing for. Maybe you're expecting to get some money next week or after 2 weeks or so. So you could yourself just manage your credit line. So then what we have achieved from there is then now this credit profile that we can now have some idea on your credit worthiness. Then from there now, we, of course, around the same, after in June June 2023, we introduced another product, which was a group product. Now, this group product was, we were building on the model of chamas, you know, and the groups, and we are really targeting the women's, because what we realize is that most women, they like doing their things in a group kind of, and also leveraging and granting each other. You know, like now the model of table banking. So we said, if let's say on the personal product, your rating gives you a limit of 5,000, and you're in a group where someone else has a limit of 500, and so you can aggregate your credit, you know, limits and get a group now. You'll be assigned a group limit, which will enable you now leveraging on your members, you know, higher limits. Now also be able to access higher loan amounts than what you would have accessed had you borrowed as an individual. Of course, now that's where probably you can talk about the misses. The miss there was that I think the issue of the digital gap, especially as manifested between genders, you know, so that product not really, you know, the uptake wasn't that very high as we had expected, and we had hoped that this was going to be a game changer. But since we are really, we are discussing it and we are engineering it, because you see now how you are going to form groups, you are also going to form them digitally. So I know George, I know so-and-so, we come together, 10 of us, and then we onboard. So I send you a request. So you can imagine if you are in the space where your phone has not probably even charged, or you know, you are unable, even if you are prompted with a message, George has signed you up, you belong to this group, you know, those prompted, you need to respond immediately. And maybe, as has always been the case with the women in the rural areas, maybe their phone has not charged, they've taken it somewhere and is there for a whole night. By the time you come back, you are not able to catch up. So indeed, there was excitement at the beginning of it, because today we have more than 800,000 groups application in terms of people expressing interest to form groups. But now where we experienced challenge was now transitioning that into a complete group, because now all members of that group have to kind of give consent that I want to belong to this group. And then from there, of course, the process of borrowing and also giving consent once you have been assigned the group limit. Yeah, so you see it was a little bit complex, especially with regard to the targeted population, in this case, who are women at the bottom of the economic pyramid. But how are we curing that? We now want to look at the physical loss onboarding, looking at the already organized groups. So what we do is just digitalize those groups, and then of course, most of them have also, most members have borrowed on the personal loan. So based on the personal loan, the current personal loan rating, then after we have onboarded, we will work out now and aggregate their group limit. So we are going the route of acknowledging the groups that are already registered, either through social service or through other registration agencies like Micro Small Enterprise Authority, which is within our ministry, and see how to onboard. And then we just digitalize, so at least they will have sight of, we are together, we belong to this market, we are together, we belong to this location, and this is what we want to do. And like what you are doing, you are in Nairobi, your other group member is in Turkana, all those kind of things. Then the third product is now what we have launched, which is the bridge. So the 2 years experience, and we now Hustler Fund rating, which kind of gives us a sight of who are these beneficiaries that have demonstrated good borrowing behavior. So because of the rating, those who are rating A's and B's, now those are eligible for graduation. But you know, like any other rehabilitation, you do not just shock people to normalcy. Okay, so because again, if you do that, then they can lapse to their original status that you're trying to cure. So what we did, we needed to bridge. And now bridging is to graduate. As we graduate, and I'm happy because today, George, tonight, you have just graduated the bridge. Congratulations. And so when you are signing up, you are now, and you are A3, congratulations, George. And it's real. You need to tell the viewers that it's real.
Actually, we tried it.
We've tried it here, and you've seen you've graduated, and you know how much you can borrow. So now, once you are on the bridge product, these are the benefit.
Okay.
And within the bridge product, what are we trying to see? We now expose you to a banking environment. And when you are signing up, when you're opting in on the bridge product, you are being asked to select a bank. So still 254 hash. You start selecting a bank. After you've selected a bank which you are there, which I know you selected, I won't tell viewers which bank you pointed to. You also asked to indicate the purpose why you're borrowing. Remember, on the personal loan, we are not being asked what it is personal as it can get. You can borrow for business, you can borrow for whatever need that you have. But on the bridge now, we start being more specific. We want to understand these people who are good borrowers, what are they doing, so then we can come up with other intervention to support them even better. So first of all, we introduce you now to the banking experience. Initially on the personal, of course, digital loans, there is always a bank, but you really do not know which bank is serving you.
Yeah.
But now the bank becomes more explicit, your relationship with the bank on the bridge product. Now, why are we asking you to pick a bank? So that now the bank can start building a relationship with you, getting to understand you. Some can start even visiting you and asking you, we have this opportunity coming up, maybe we have this facility. You see, they want to know you more so that then they can start supporting you. So why that is important is because when you go to the bank today to ask for a facility, they're going to ask you of 6-month bank statement. And you don't even have an opportunity to acquire that. Picture that young person who has just turned 18 years and does not have, he's not banked, he does not have an account. So how does this young person then acquire the banking experience? So we've created now that platform. So from the credit history which you have, we start now exposing your credit history to the banking environment. You start building your banking history. So from there, now the banks will be seeing and watch you now closely. Some of them will interact with you. If you don't have a bank account, they reach out to you. You will open a bank account. I know most of the people are selecting, some do not have a bank account, but they reach out to you. So that experience you're going to have there, and they will monitor what you're doing and how you are scoring. Because on the bridge product, 3 things will happen. Number 1, we'll seek to understand why you're, first of all, there will be the relationship with the bank, which bank of your choice, of course, the participating banks which are there, you choose. And then number 2, you will get to know why you're borrowing. Are you borrowing for business or even for personal emergency? Now, if you're borrowing for business, you'll be able to indicate the sector in which you're doing, and we have various categories that are there. So you'll pick whichever category is close to what you're borrowing for. And then why is that important? So that when the banks start interacting with you, they start now seeing which kind of support you need. Even for us in government, if we want, for example, to subject you to some sort of capacity building, it become more targeted, it become more specific to you to help you better. Then from there, the other thing is that your loan tenure is now extended, is doubled. From the personal loan and group loan, which was 14 days, we now extend that with another 14 days. So like you have almost a 30-day loan repayment period. So you can see, if you're borrowing for business, you can now do your business within a span of 30 days, and you have a rollover of once. Now, if you borrow within 30 days, we still maintain the same interest rate, 8% per annum. Now, the other thing is that depending on how you are rating, I just want to talk about the benefit. When you move,
we want to take a short break.
Before we finish that, probably should have finished that so that when it goes. So depending on how you are rating.
Yeah.
If you are rating A1, for example, your limit, your current personal loan limit, once you graduate to the bridge product, is tripled.
All right.
If you are rating A2, so there's some benefits, your limits gets enhanced. So you see, we have people today who can borrow up to 150,000 per transaction, which because they had they were hitting the maximum limit on the personal loan, and those people are in A1 category. So if their limit of personal loan was 50,000, today they can borrow up to 150,000.
Please hold that thought.
Thank
we
you.
come back after this short commercial break to continue talking about the Hustler Fund. Please keep your questions, your comments coming to stay with us.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water.
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget, regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the Daily Report. You're still with PS Susan Mangeni, the PS for MSME. Some questions here before we enter the home stretch. Hello, Zainabu. When can one start withdrawing the long-term savings PS?
Thank you. Is there any other question?
Okay. Oh, you want to take several?
Yeah.
Okay. There is. Good evening, George. Kindly ask Madam PS on the issue of loan limit. Like mine is 1,020 shillings since last year, and it has not grown. My name is Kelvin Otieno from Korogosho. Thank you, Kelvin. There is hi if BJ Consultants. Hi, if one wants to contact Hustler Fund, which numbers does one use? Thanks. Secondly, why is it difficult to access Hustler Fund's short-term savings? The message one gets every time one wants to access one's short-term savings is that there is an ongoing transaction. Kindly clarify. Thanks, Jashan.
Well,
you can take that for now.
Thank you, George. Since you are on Hustler Fund,
Yes.
I wish we could go check your short-term saving and see if we can access it right now.
Uh-huh.
You know, sometimes doing this thing practically
Yes.
helps us a lot.
Okay.
So you can dial *254# and go to savings, and then you tell us how you'll be able to access your short-term. Because what I want to assure the viewers is that short-term saving is easily accessible.
Short-term savings, option 2.
Yes.
Check balance. Or withdraw.
Withdraw.
Okay.
Are you on the saving?
I think I am. Let me check the balance.
You check the balance and see if you can withdraw.
Okay.
Yeah, try to withdraw whichever
All right.
want you.
All right.
You know, it's good to see which message it will bring you there. But I'm confident that today we can access the short-term savings, and leave alone just accessing. You can also populate your short-term saving through voluntary. You can save voluntarily there, and your saving. So the savings of the Hustler Fund beneficiaries, and His Excellency the President guided during the anniversary that they're going to be invested in the government security, and then of course you will earn the interest depending on at that particular time what the T-bills, for example, this government security interest will be returning. That's what you earn. Now, at the moment, as we finalize on the integration, because the institution that is going to support us in saving this is Kenya National Entrepreneur Saving Trust, KNEST, and we are finalizing the integration, and then we move now from the banks which have been investing this for us. But even at the moment, this is how much the bank is investing. So we negotiated a rate of T-3, I mean T-bills -3. So at any given time, assuming today the T-bills or government bonds are going for 15% interest rates, so we will, the Hustler Fund, our savings, will accrue T-3, meaning now it will accrue 12%. That will be the return, 12%. Okay. So if you were to look at it, is even good returns compared to if you were to fix your money somewhere in the commercial account bank, you find that the returns you're going to get on this is even higher than what you get in the normal commercial banks. So, but once we finalize which we think we are closing out by next month, then those that have attained, like for example, 60 years and above, because we have about 1.8 million Kenyans who have hit that age, who are our beneficiaries on the Hustler Fund. If we are to compute, to aggregate their saving, will come close to about 400 million. Okay. So these ones, then they will come up with a mechanism on how at any given time then they can withdraw. And this money is being managed in accordance to retirement benefit, policy framework, because it's defined. When it comes to pension, you have to be guided by that policy. So what I want to tell Zainabu is that that's work in progress. Once we manage to move, we finalize on the movement of the savings now from the commercial bank, where, as I said, that's where we have been, as we've been working out, and as we've been established the KNEST, then it will go there. At any given time, you can again save, and you can decide whether to save on long term or on short term, and then of course you'll be guided on the protocols on how you can then be able to access it. Okay. Short term you can access, like I've said, anytime. All right. You need of it. I'm not so sure unless if it was a system downturn, which can be explained. But I think where we are today, every saver can be able to access long term. All right. On the loan limits, it's dependent on your grading. Probably, I forgot the name, probably what I wish he also told us what is his credit rating. because you find that probably his credit rating is in C's, C1, C2,
So
probably
he needs to
C3.
come to A.
So he needs to come to, of course, the next after C1. So C3 is the
C2.
the lowest, C2, C1, and then now you move to B. Once you move to B, you start experiencing, on bridge, that is, you start experiencing the limit enhancement. So maybe he's still on personal and probably his scores are low. I wish he also told us, and I will just want to encourage, if you're asking a question, also tell us maybe your grading, and then we'll be able to see where then the problem is.
All right. There's a question here, PS. There is, Hustler Fund is not really helping at all to many Kenyans because of the small amounts they are giving. Example, 500 or 300 bob can start which business. Even fees cannot pay unless a way of trapping Kenyans. From Pastor Muremi, Eric, Embu, Kiambuthini town.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Let's actually pick Amos's phone call. Amos?
Amos again.
Amos, hi, good evening. Thanks for watching.
PS na kupanga simu ya Tisa.
Aha. Amos? We have lost Amos, but we'll be getting him shortly. Yes, about this question about the amounts. Is it only the 500s?
It's not 500. So let me show you. For example, the bridge.
Yes.
Bridge we launched about 2 months ago. And today we have beneficiaries who can access more than 100,000. So it's about growing your limit.
I'm told Amos is back. Let's listen to his question.
Amos,
just a minute. Amos, what's your question to the PS?
Hello?
Yes, hello, Amos. Good evening.
Hello?
Amos, unanipata? Good evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Amos, and I'm asking. I've been borrowing 9,960. Okay.
Grade yake muulize.
Grade yako?
Grade yako? Nakupa unaongea na mimi nikikuona.
Ni sawa.
I've been borrowing 960.
Punguza volume ya TV ndio nikusikie.
Hello.
Grade yako ni punguza volume ya TV, Amos.
I've been borrowing 960, okay?
Yes.
And then I don't know how 48 shillings are deducted every time I borrow.
You're deducted every time you borrow?
Nipunguze volume ya nini sasa?
Okay, Amos. All right, we'll be...
But I can get his question.
Yeah.
But first of all, before I forget, let me talk about the issue of the limits. Now, limits ni bidi yao. When you borrow, we have people who started borrowing the 500, the minimum. Today, they've grown their limit even up to more than 50,000. And we have those cases.
All right.
So you grow your limit.
Based on paying on time?
On paying on time. And how many times do you borrow? Because those parameters are also looking into the level of need. And you know, of course, if you are just testing, there are people also who came on the platform just to test. Is this thing working or is it? Some people came and they found it was only 500 bob and they say we don't want this. But people who really have a need were borrowing, and you could see the frequency of borrowing showing that indeed they were in need. Most of the people who've been able to grow their limit, as I will be giving you for example, the status of the bridge loan.
Yes.
You'll be shocked how people with those smaller limits have been able to borrow more from the Hustler Fund platform. So those were the parameters. So now, for example, in the last 2 months of the bridge loan, we have one Wanyama. Of course, I will not reveal other details. And it's from Bungoma, from what I have seen. And his current limit is 32,890. His rating A1. And so far, he has accessed more than 1 million. Precisely, he's about 1 million. And 1 million, it's actually 1 million. So, no, sorry. So his personal limit is 32,890. He has accessed, his bridge loan limit is 98,670.
So they're success stories.
His limit has been tripled. He's an A1.
Oh, from, okay.
From 32,000.
All right.
His limit has been tripled. He's now, his bridge loan limit is 98,670. And he has borrowed, in the last 2 months, he has borrowed cumulatively up to 1,080,000.
Let's speak to George from Mombasa. He's been on the line for quite a minute. George, good evening. Very briefly, what is your question or comment to the PS tonight? Could you reduce the volume of your TV, George? Hello, George? Okay, let's get some feedback.
Amos had a question where he's saying the money which he gets deducted. So every time you borrow, 5% is deducted, so you get less than 5%, and you are notified that you are now going to get this less, of which 70% goes to your long-term saving, 30% goes to a short-term saving. So if Amos wants to know where this money is, he just needs to dial once again *254#. Go select the hustler fund, goes to the saving, check balance. He'll be told his long-term savings is how much, and then his short-term saving is what. But quickly, as we wait for other callers, allow me to take you through where we are in numbers. Because to me, this bridge product has really proven to be a game changer, and it has got very interesting
okay, as you get that, let me get some questions here. Is there a likelihood of, and I think we can go first because time is out of us. Is there a likelihood of a limit review on hustler funds bridge loan product soon? And if so, when? How frequent is it done? That's Jason.
So this is going to be automatic.
Okay.
We just apply the formula. So at any given time, you can get upgraded or downgraded.
Oh, okay.
So if you keep on, in our credit limit policy, which we are crystallizing, you find that, let's say we observe you. So we have this period that we can observe you for some time. For example, now Amos here with the 950, once we get to determine which score he has, let's say he's C3, he can borrow there for some time, we observe, and if we see that now he's picked up in terms of borrowing and paying on time, then he will be graded. So it's going to be automatic.
Okay.
When you requesting for your next loan, and then the formula is applied, we will be able. Okay. It will either downgrade you from A1 to A2, or it will upgrade you from C3 to C2, or even to B. But quickly, let me give you some of the good stories about this bridge.
George is back. Let's listen to him. George is back. Yeah, George is back from Mombasa. Quickly, your question, and please, if you could reduce the volume of your TV. George, good evening. Hello? Yeah, briefly, what's your question to the PS or comment tonight?
Mimi nilikuwa napongeza tu wanadada. Yes, nakusikia.
Naam.
Hello?
Naam, punguza volume ya TV.
Hello? Yes.
Sema, George. Okay, so we will be, but I think he was trying to congratulate you as well. You were talking about the success stories.
So I was saying so far, in the last 2 months of the bridge product, we've disbursed 1.6 billion as of today morning, and the repayment is 1,052 million. You know, you can imagine. Daily collection rate, sometimes it hits even 100%. So meaning in terms of how much we disburse and how much gets repaid, you find we're really doing well. So this was just a demonstration that really the people that we have graduated have good borrowing behavior. Let me show you also something in terms of the where people are borrowing most. And the interesting things about this observation is that majority of people are now borrowing above 1,000 shilling, because those who are borrowing between 1,000 and 10,000 are about 70%. Those who are borrowing between 10,000 and 25,000 are about 19%. And then of course it goes like that. And these people, what are they borrowing for? Again, we've been able to work it out. And for example, people who are borrowing in the business now, the business side, you remember when you're on boarding, you're asked to, to say whether you're borrowing for business or personal use. Yeah, and I didn't see what you selected. So, but now other categories, people have said, for example, animal keeping, they've said we've disbursed close to 8.4 million. Border, they have indicated what they're doing, the sectors. People who are in the border sector have borrowed in just the last 2 months close to 112 million. Creative jobs, we have 12.7 million. Farming, we have 289 million. Fishing, we have around 4.3 million. Food and drinks, people who are trading in that sector, they have accessed close to 69.9 million. Housing, 21.2 million. And in this housing, what it means, maybe you're a plumber, you're those kind of things, you're doing those. Personal use and emergence, this is where now you find that category. Actually, about 40% of people who are borrowing for the personal use, which is good. If you have 60% of the population then borrowing for business kind of activity, then this is good return. Selling goods, for example, those who are in trading space have access close to 491 million. So this is what you're able to observe in terms of why people are borrowing. And the repayment is really good. In terms of repeat loans, we have 87% of the people who have the loans that have been disbursed so far are from people who have borrowed more than once. It means the level of need is there. They have a very high level of need, and they must be borrowing for something. So, the figures cannot lie. And maybe the other thing that is that this is fairly distributed. We are able now to pull out numbers of the 207,000 beneficiaries so far who have successfully been onboarded on the bridge. We're able to distribute them in each and every county. So there is no corner of this country that is not being served even with the bridge. In other words, to say there's no corner of this country where you can say, there's no county where you can say we don't have good borrowers. So Kenyans are not bad people, they're good people. So we keep on introducing more products to graduate them. So from bridge, what next is now to SME, a loan product, where now the business people who have indicated that they're borrowing for business can now be further graduated to the SME loan, and that will be a space now, more so a space in the competitive environment, in the private sector financing.
We are completely out of time, PS, and the questions are so many. Perhaps I will ask them to engage you on X, maybe? Or
they can engage me on X. They can on our website. We can be able to share. They
and
can
address
engage
their
on
concerns.
the ministry and even the PS at msme.go.ke. They can access our State Department website and also our ministry website, the Hustler Fund website. And again, we have an open door policy anytime. They can come in because we are there. If they have any question, a number of times I get questions directly. People ask me, And sometimes they say, you know, you're my friend. So fanya ile kitu niongeze limit. I've said, but you know now, even me personally, I'm not able to increase my own limit.
Your own limit.
So
do you have a limit? Do you borrow
yes,
the hustle?
Yes, of course. But how will I know that is working and it's progressing on well?
What's your grade?
My grade?
Yeah.
My of course, where do you expect my grade to be?
You're on A1.
My grade is in A's.
Okay, all right.
Because I also borrow frequently. So I borrow because I have to monitor what I'm doing and see if there is any hitch. But I just
PS as we wind up so that we close the conversation.
I want to say that the story of Hustler Fund is that of deepening financial inclusion. And from the experience we've had in the last 2 years on the personal loan, as well as also what is coming out on the bridge loan, this is a true testament that Kenyans outside there are in that great need. And I would just want to urge Kenyans that you need to take advantage of this opportunity that the government has created to help you grow your ability to borrow and to build up your alternative collateral in your credit rating. In some other economy, even if you have cash, you may not purchase any property if your credit rating is low. So take advantage of this opportunity and safeguard your credit rating. All the beneficiaries have been rated and just grow your rating. Absolutely. So that you keep on then so that we can unlock your access to credit, to affordable credit. In the mainstream financing sector.
Absolutely. Yes, we look forward to having you once again. Hopefully in the near future.
Yep.
As we continue to debunk, of course, the conversation is bigger than the time we have. We've been speaking to the Honorable Susan Mangeni, Principal Secretary for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSMEs, right here on the Daily Report. Thank you so much, Madam PS.
Welcome.
And I am George Maringa. Thank you for your tremendous feedback. Engage the PS on the socials and also the emails she's given on the website for more clarity. And as always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you next time.